First, hold the stem steady, he whispered, using the cowboy term for the stem of the fruit. His breath was a little warm, and I was listening attentively to his every instruction. Then, peel the kernels like this, slowly. His fingers slid over the fruit, simulating a gentle squeeze that made me bite my lip. Another interesting story from one of those farms that exist in the far corners of Texas. Listen. The afternoon sun clung to my skin like spilled honey, and I knew that each step I took toward the porch of Lone Star Farm was an invitation to what could not be undone. The red dust of the desert rose between my bare toes, and the dress. Oh man, I'm not stupid, I've always worn it that way, so thin that it barely hid the contours of my curves, tight as if it were a second skin. Ethan stood at the top of the steps, wearing a straw hat and muddy boots, standing as if time revolved around him. The brim of his hat cast a treacherous shadow over his eyes, hiding intentions, weighing words before they were even spoken. He had the posture of someone who didn't ask permission to exist, of someone who knew that his space was guaranteed by the simple fact of occupying the world. I came to spend a few days. I don't think I need to ask, do I? He said, dragging out his words as if time belonged to him. He climbed the stairs slowly, each step a sentence, letting the sun reveal the damp shine of my cleavage, where a drop of sweat dripped lazily. Mom said you need company. And a little help with the finances. He didn't smile. He never smiled for no reason. He was already approaching 54 years old, his face marked by sun, time, and silence. A man made of earth, of tanned leather, of looks that measured and weighed, of stories that no one dared to tell. A man of few words, but with a presence that filled even the empty corners. Owner of lands that seemed to stretch as far as the eye could see, of secrets that were kept in his chest like cattle in the pasture, marked and silent. I saw the puzzle forming in his eyes. Eyes as dark as the bottom of a deep well, where light rarely reached. His gaze weighed on me when my leg brushed lightly against his as we passed through the door. A minimal contact, a clash of worlds. A moment too long to be accidental. The room smelled of beeswax and loneliness. Time accumulated there, trapped in the corners, in the obsessively lined-up photo frames. Yellowed photographs, from a past that never left the scene. The ceiling fan turned slowly, lazily, cutting the heat into useless slices. A heat that came from outside and from inside. The room is in the hallway, he grumbled, throwing my suitcase on the floor without the slightest care, as if carrying a burden he hadn't asked to bring. Dinner at 7. But I didn't come for dinner. The first few days were a slow burn. In the mornings I picked peaches in the orchard, my fingers smeared with sweet pulp, my dress riding up to show the white marks on my smooth thighs. In the afternoons I helped sort coffee beans in the yard, bending over in a way that made the buttons on my top pop open with tension. I think deep down he pretended not to see, but I could hear his teeth grinding as I passed him. The smell of my sweat, jasmine and sin, leaving a trail more persistent than the scent of orange blossoms. On the fourth afternoon he took me to the old lake. The water was still, green as his eyes as he stared at me. "Watch out for snakes," he warned, pointing to the reeds. "Watch out for me, you mean?" I laughed, dropping my straw hat as I bent to pick it up. The neckline revealed two plump, round melons that defied gravity, shining like peach skins in the sun, fresh as a clam. I knew I had power in my hands. He coughed, turned his face away, but didn't leave. It was in the orchard, under the orange trees whispering secrets in Spanish, that the bush was starting to get a little hotter than usual. I was stretching my arm to reach a ripe fruit, my dress stuck to my back with sweat, when he appeared from behind. "You don't know how to pick," said the rough voice of someone who had spent years giving orders. His large, calloused hand closed over mine, guiding it to the peach's stem. "First, Grab the firm stem. The term used by the farmhands for the thick stem came out like a hoarse verse from his mouth. His plaid shirt pressed my fabric against the tree, and I could feel the heat, the smell of earth and what I was looking for so much, adventure and learning. Of course, right? I needed to absorb something besides sucking corn. Ah, then, he continued, his fingers slipping from the stem to the fruit. Peel the seeds like this. His hand squeezed the peach until the juice ran, and I understood what he was explaining to me even before his beard met my neck. It was slow, salty with sweat and sweet with pulp, and I turned, removing his plaid with an urgency that made the buds fly like seeds in the wind. "Call Ethan," he ordered, when I called him in the way I had long since become accustomed to. The earth beneath the orange trees was soft with dry leaves. I lay down quietly, with the care of someone handling a rare flower. My dress slid like tree bark, and for the first time I saw hesitation in the one who commanded tractors and men with a voice like thunder. "You started it," but I silenced his mouth with my fingers, guiding his hands to the 2 melons he had so avoided looking at. "Hold on, Ethan," I whispered, arching my back before the sun melted my courage. The world shrank to the rhythm of the swaying leaves, the moaning of the cicadas, and the sweat dripping down my spine, making it feel like I was riding through the woods. He, accustomed to setting the pace for the harvest, let himself be carried along by me, by my nails digging into his skin, by my hips teaching him a new rhythm. When the heat reached its peak, it was like the first rain of summer, slow, then torrential, washing away the dust of years of solitude. Later, lying beside me, with leaves clinging to his chest, he looked at me as if I were a dream that could disappear. "Are you leaving tomorrow?" he asked, trying to hide the crack in his voice. I picked up a fallen peach, bit into the pulp all the way to the pit, and let the juice run down my chin, straight down and a little closer to where I had explored so much there. "As long as there's fruit on the tree," I replied, standing up under the filtered light of the leaves. "I'll pick it." That night, on the porch where it all began, he found me dancing alone to the sound of the old radio. I had another piece of fabric that I had kept in my bag, in case I managed to achieve my goal, even thinner. And when I reached out, it felt better than ever. "I learned something today," I whispered, guiding his fingers to the zipper on my back. "Cowboys really like to take their time picking." He laughed, a hoarse and rare sound, and for the first time the big house seemed to breathe easier, while fireflies streaked across the sky. I learned that some seeds, once planted, never stop growing, even in the most arid lands. After almost half an hour of standing still, I was sweating a lot, even with the fan running non-stop. I drank all the juice from the pulp he gave me. Did you like this story? So, leave a comment telling us what you thought, and, if you've experienced something similar, share it with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any new content. Here, we always bring life stories, reflections, and real experiences, all with great sincerity. Thank you for watching until the end and for being part of this journey. See you in the next video.